All right, welcome to the WFAN studios, everybody. This is the place where Boomer and Carton do their show every single morning on The Fan here in New York City and simulcast nationally on the CBS Sports Network. I figured I would do a little video vignette on the Mike and the Mad Dog 30 for 30 on ESPN since I have a small role in it, and there's a pretty cool behind-the-scenes story to it. So we start with this. If you watch the 30 for 30, you see me for about 15 seconds. And I'm talking about where Mike and the Mad Dog kind of made their mark and their parallel success that they had as a radio show and the success of New York sports. Because when you see them taking off from the late 80s through the 90s, they are really taking advantage of all of the success the New York sports teams had. You had the New York Giants win in 1990 the Super Bowl. And then in 93 and 94, the Knicks get really, really good and are competing for a championship, of course, getting all the way to the NBA Finals in 94. Simultaneously, the Rangers are excellent, 93, 94, and the Rangers culminate with the epic Stanley Cup final against the Vancouver Canucks. And then you have the Yankees right on the heels of that becoming great in 95. You have the epic series against the Seattle Mariners in the playoffs. And then 96, 98, 99, 2000, the Yankees win the World Series. I thought one of the interesting things about the documentary that didn't make the cut was the effect Mike and the Mad Dog had on a generation of sportscasters that are now some of the voices in New York sports and nationally. That was part of the reason the directors actually reached out to me, was this kind of next generation storyline behind Mike and the Mad Dog. And you look around the country and here in New York City, it's amazing how many guys like myself grew up in the New York City area, grew up listening to them, and I'm sure had that impact how they do their jobs now and wanting to get into sports talk. You know, I think about Brandon Tierney, my colleague at CBS Sports Radio, Evan Roberts on WFAN, Stu Gatz on ESPN Radio, Evan Cohen and Adam Shine on Sirius XM, Chris Carlin at WIP in Philadelphia. All of us and so many more that are working in sports radio, specifically as sports talk hosts on a daily basis, were affected and infected by the craziness, the intensity, the debates, the influence that Mike and the Mad Dog had. And so I think they interviewed a bunch of us for that angle, but it didn't end up making the final cut of the film. I think that actually is a really important part of Mike and the Mad Dog's legacy. I knew growing up listening to The Fan, I could never be Mike and the Mad Dog. I couldn't really say, oh, I want to be Mike or I want to be Mad Dog when I grow up. But when I was in high school, I wanted to meet those guys. When I was in high school, Warwick, New York, at Warwick Valley High, I was lucky enough to have a 2-year communications curriculum in my public high school. By senior year, our final project was to, with you and 3 of your classmates, create your own television show that would air obviously for the class in a class grade, but also would air once on the cable access channel. Now, TKR Channel 8, my cable access channel in the Warwick Valley, that was a place that I'd actually done stuff for before. I knew in high school I wanted to do this, so I was calling play-by-play of girls soccer and boys football and girls softball and boys basketball and covering my high school teams, doing the play-by-play, sometimes wrangling somebody else to do the camera work for me, sometimes me doing my own camera work, and then I would overlay graphics onto it and do instant replays in post-production in my communications class, and then deliver it to my cable access station, and they would play them. And I got the biggest kick out of it because my games were being televised, even if it was only cable access. But me and my buddies, my cousin Greg Voloshin, one of my good friends still, Lee Bergelson, and Steve Shear, who was like an audio maven, these 3 guys and me wanted to put on a sports show. And we wanted to cover sports from our kind of community, which was north of New York City, kind of the sticks, about an hour and change away from New York City, and then cover the big teams, the big stories down here in Manhattan and the surrounding area. So we called it Metro Sports North. We reached out to a couple of teams. We reached out to the New Jersey Nets. They said, okay, you can come down and do some interviews. I got to interview John Calipari, which I still have the footage of, which I will have to release here soon. Got to interview a couple of the New York Jets players. And even the New York Mets let us on the field during batting practice to do some interviews. So I'll never forget those experiences. But the most indelible memory I have, we reached out to WFAN and asked the program director there if we could do it. Now, I'm sure I wrote a letter, or one of my classmates wrote a letter. Then we had our teacher, Mrs. Hurd, actually make a phone call. It turns out she made a phone call to a guy named Eric Spitz, who was assistant program director of WFAN at that time in 1997. He is now my boss, the program director, the man in charge, the big boss man of the CBS Sports Radio Network, which I host a show on every day, 9 a.m. until noon. How crazy is that? They say, okay, you can come down, and we just want to record some footage of Mike and the Mad Dog and maybe possibly get a short soundbite with them or a snippet with them.
Interviews with Mike Francesa and Chris Russo from Mike and the Mad Dog, as well as Steve Summers from The Sweater and the Schmooze on WFAN Talk Radio on the second edition of Metro Sports North, coming at you April the 8th at 7 p.m. on TKR Channel 8.
They let us go into the studio and record Mike and the Mad Dog while they were on the air. And this footage was incredible because we were in the room and they just kind of ignored us. We're sitting in the corner recording it, and they just ignore us as they're going back and forth, battling about the topics of the day. This was the spring of 1997. This footage ends up being crucial footage to the documentary, The 30 for 30. Because if you think about it, when Mike and the Mad Dog started in the late 80s, right through when they finally launched the Yes Network and they were simulcast, which was the early 2000s, 02, 03, there's no cameras inside the radio studios. There's no footage of it. There's only audio recordings of it, no video. So when I posted a video to YouTube of me sitting down with Mike Francesa, the director of the 30 for 30 reached out to me. And he said, hey, do you still have that footage? I said, yeah. He said, is it yours? I said, yeah, it's my high school project. He goes, thank God you kept that. Guard it with your life. We could use that for the 30 for 30. I had it on a VHS tape. I'm like, okay, but it's not converted. He goes, don't worry, we can convert it. One of the producers actually said this footage was vital to what we were doing because we wanted it to look really authentic and to encapsulate the era of the 90s. You know, what we had couldn't do it justice, and your footage brought that stuff to life. So I was really proud. There's all of this footage that me or Lee or Steve or Greg took inside the studio on an old, huge VHS camcorder from our high school communications course that they used in this 30 for 30. I saw the premiere, the Tribeca Film Festival, and I'm with my girlfriend, and every time one of the shots is being used, I grab her wrist. I'm like, that's my shot. That's our shot. That's our shot. That's our show. This is my shot.
Find out in today's New York Times and call 1-800-NEW-YORK-TIMES for home delivery. New York Times, expect the world.
Mike, I'll tell you right now, if anybody screamed and yelled about how maybe Calipari was not sincere enough in his apology,
that's my shot.
I would think they.
But I only think the Bulls are gonna play 8 games in those first 2 rounds.
Yeah,
I think they'll beat Cleveland in 3, and they'll want to get out of there fast with the injured guys.
This is our shot.
I thought that was his bigger point, that we're treating Bird bigger than we would treat a black superstar because he's white and he's like Bird.
Right. Well, his point
he thought was also the fact that Bird is getting all this accolades.
Wouldn't be as good.
Wouldn't be as good. Well, it's just crazy.
All of these shots from Metro Sports North being used on 30 for 30. There's also a moment in it that just is amazing to me, and it's where Mike and the Mad Dog promote Metro Sports North. So we asked Mike and the Mad Dog to do a promo for Metro Sports North. This is Mike Francesa, okay, of WFAN. This is Christopher Russo, and you're watching Metro Sports North.
3, 2, 1. I'm Mike Francesa.
Christopher Russo.
We're Mike and the Mad Dog of WFAN.
And you're watching Metro Sports North.
Okay?
Thanks very much, guys.
Got it, John.
Okay.
Knock him dead. Thanks.
And they look at us and go, is that good? And they don't look at one another. And so the film highlights that there was so much tension going on between those two guys, they would do a read for a high school show and not even look at one another. Mike and Chris and Schmooze could not have been more gracious with their time. I mean, Mike really took my question seriously, which meant a lot to me at a time when I'm 18 years old.
A couple of years ago, you hosted Live from the Play-by-Play on television. Are you looking to get back into the television aspect of things?
Well, not only that, because I did CBS for 6 years on TV, too. I worked for CBS for 12 years, and I did every big event for CBS. I did the Final Four. I did the NBA Finals. I did the Super Bowl pregame show. I did the Cotton Bowl. I did all different kind of events for them. So, and I did play-by-play for 3 years, and I did TV for about 10 straight years. Last year was the first year I haven't been on TV, and I'll probably get back on TV. It's not something I'm burning to do, but I think I'll probably do some more TV stuff for him through.
Russo, all energy, all emotion. And he was the same way. He was very respectful of my questions. And I'm nervous as anything, sweating buckets. I'm in this oversized, ridiculous shirt. I've got this terrible haircut. I've got these oversized pants. I mean, I look like a mess. Still do.
A decade now. How is your relationship with Francesa?
It's always been a little rocky at times. We've just gotten through a rocky period. But when you have done a show with somebody for as long as Mike and I have done shows like a marriage, you're going to have your moments when you've been married for a while where you have your down periods. And Mike and I have had our down periods. We're getting over one right now, getting back on an up period. And with all the sports going on with the NBA and the NHL and baseball, we should be in pretty good shape. Overall, they've been you've been together for 10 years. We've been very successful. That's the bottom line.
And Schmooze, Steve Summers was so warm and so gracious and was joking around, sticking his fingers in my eye as I'm trying to wrap up being professional. He's asking if I want to go out for a corned beef sandwich. I mean, he was amazing.
And then you start talking when the mic's over here. Then with it here or somewhere in the middle, I don't know. You got to do a little adjusting. Okay. All in the wrist, I suppose. But with a little this way, whatever is said by you and me isn't lost. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
This
is years ago. Somebody told me, and in the radio, you just in front of the microphone. Doesn't matter. But does that make sense a little bit?
And I'll never forget bringing the footage home and showing my dad and showing my mom, and them just being wowed, like, oh my God, you got to interview them. And after I'm done with the interview with Mike looks at me, pauses, and goes, not bad. And that was the thing that made my dad go through the roof the most.
Hi, Mike Francesa, host of Mike and the Mad Dog on WFAN from 1 o'clock to 6 p.m. every weekday. This is Damon Amendolara reporting for Metro Sports North. All right.
Bye, guys.
Thank you very much.
Not bad, Damon. Not bad.
Thank you very much.
Not bad at all.
Oh my God, Francesa said not bad. Not bad. I got a not bad.
Not bad, Damon. Not bad.
What an amazing experience. Totally amazing. I thought the film was great. I really did. I thought it encapsulated the ups and downs of their relationship. I thought it shows why they're so important to the sports media scene, why they're icons, why they're Hall of Fame candidates for radio, and why they just attracted all of us in the New York area where you had to see what they were going to say every single day. I don't think it could ever be like that again. I think that's a moment in time. They're a singular sports radio station. They've got two huge personalities. The city is going through the successes of the Giants and the Yankees and the Knicks and the Rangers. You have it all going on at the same time, and it's before the internet. So you have to be locked into the radio to get instant analysis. You don't have this kind of deluge of internet content so that as soon as a game is over or during a game, you can react to it or see how people are reacting to it. You had to go to sports radio. It was the only place this was happening. So I'm very proud to be in the 30 for 30. I'm super proud to be able to tell the behind-the-scenes story. And I'm so glad I held on to that VHS tape. It's all ironic because me and Mike had that dust up a couple of years ago where he demanded I not use my initials during a sports update on his show. Fair. But I got to go to the premiere. I got to say hello to both Mike and Chris at the after party. And I'm like, boy, this is a crazy 20-year full circle. How to explain it? That's some serendipity, as they say.
WFAN 660 AM Sports Talk Radio. Interviews with Mike Francesa and Chris Russo. Mike and the Mad Dog pair.
Hey, catch my web series Nomad, where I go out and I eat cool stuff and I drink cool stuff and I see cool sporting events. Season 2 is coming up in September. Go check out Season 1. It's all on YouTube. Amendo, out.
Thank you very much.